You eat every day, probably multiple times.
Right.
But beyond just, getting fuel, what unspoken rules govern those meals? Especially when you're sharing them in different cultures.
Exactly.
Today, we're taking a really fascinating journey, a deep dive into the world of Asian table manners.
Yeah, and this isn't just like a simple guide to avoid embarrassing yourself.
Wow.
It's more about understanding how deep cultural values get expressed through something so universal as eating.
Hmm.
We'll be looking at nuances in Japan, South Korea, China, India, Thailand, and the Philippines, and hopefully you'll gain a richer perspective, a real key to showing respect.
Get ready for some insights, maybe some aha moments that might just change how you think about your next meal.
Absolutely. Where should we start?
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with Japan. We all kind of know chopsticks are central, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the etiquette seems to go way beyond just picking up food. Take slurping, for instance.
Yeah, yes.
In many places, it's a definite no-go. But in Japan, especially with things like ramen or soba, it's almost encouraged.
Yeah, it is. What's fascinating is that a good hearty slurp is often taken as a sign you're really enjoying the noodles.
So it's compliment.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it also helps cool down those super hot noodles quickly so you can actually taste them better. There's a practical side too.
That makes sense, especially in like a busy ramen shop, maybe.
Exactly. That environment probably influenced the custom.
Okay. Now, on the flip side, chopsticks and rice in Japan. There's really significant taboo, isn't there, sticking them upright?
Oh, yes. That's a big one. Definitely avoid sticking your chopsticks vertically into a bowl of rice.
Why is that so serious?
Well, it's strongly associated with funeral rituals. It looks very similar to the incense sticks people offer at memorial services.
Oh, okay. I see the visual connection.
Yeah, it's basically an offering for the deceased, so doing that at the dinner table. It's considered deeply disrespectful, bad luck even. It links the meal, which is about life, with death.
Right. You definitely don't want to do that. So what should you do with your chopsticks when you pause or finish eating?
Good question. You should lay them down horizontally, either across the top of your bowl, or if there's a chopstick rest a hashioki, use that.
And when you're done?
Just place them neatly beside your bowl, or maybe on top of the lid if it has one, just not standing up in the rice.
Got it. Another chopstick point in Japan I found interesting, passing food. It's not straightforward.
That's right. You really want to avoid passing food directly from your chopsticks to someone else's.
Why is that? Another connection.
Yes, unfortunately. It mirrors a part of Japanese funeral customs, specifically the ritual of passing cremated bones between family members using chopsticks.
Wow. Okay. Definitely something to avoid at the table then.
Absolutely. So if you want to share, it's better to place the food on a small plate first, and then they can pick it up themselves.
It's really striking how these small actions are so tied to deeper traditions. And what about before and after the meal? Are there important phrases?
Oh, definitely. Saying itadakimasu before you start eating is crucial.
What does it really mean?
It's essentially expressing gratitude
Mm-hmm.
for the food, for the person
Yeah.
who prepared it, even for the life given for the meal. It's about mindfulness.
And afterwards?
Afterwards, you say gochisusama deshita, or just gochisusama. It means thank you for the feast, basically conveying appreciation for the meal you just enjoyed.
So, framing the meal with respect. Okay, let's shift gears. How about South Korea? What are some key differences we've noticed there?
Well, one of the most immediate things you'll likely see in South Korea is the strong emphasis on respecting elders.
How does that play out at the table?
It's customary to wait. You wait for the eldest person at the table to pick up their spoon or chopsticks and take the first bite before anyone else starts eating.
Even in casual settings?
Pretty much, yeah. Family meals, formal dinners. It's a very clear way of showing deference, honoring seniority. It's rooted in Confucian values, which are quite influential in Korean culture.
That's a clear cultural marker right there. What about drinks? Is there specific etiquette for sharing drinks, especially with someone older?
Yes, there is. When you're receiving a drink from an elder or superior, or even when pouring for them sometimes, it's polite to turn your head slightly to the side,
Turn away.
just slightly, and you often cover your mouth a bit with your other hand while you sip. It's a subtle gesture, but it signals respect and humility, acknowledging their status.
Fascinating how these small physical cues communicate so much. Now, handling bowls, I know that differs across Asia. What's the rule in South Korea?
Right, this is a key difference. Unlike in Japan or China, where you might lift your rice bowl closer to your mouth,
Yeah.
in South Korea, that's generally considered impolite. You should keep your rice ball on the table.
Oh, really? So you use your spoon and chopsticks to bring the food up?
Exactly. Keep the bowl down. It's quite a contrast and definitely something to remember if you're used to the other way.
Good tip. That could easily trip you up.
And eating sounds. We talked about slurping in Japan. What's the preference in Korea? Generally, silent chewing is preferred in South Korea. Unlike the acceptable slurping in Japan, making loud chewing or eating noises is usually frowned upon.
So a bit more reserved while eating.
Yeah, a more discreet approach is generally appreciated. Okay, shall we move over to China? I hear things are a bit different there too.
Yes, China. I've heard that certain things we might see as impolite elsewhere can actually be okay or even positive at a Chinese table.
That can be true. For instance, a small, quiet burp after finishing a meal isn't necessarily rude.
Really?
Yeah, it can sometimes be seen as a subtle compliment to the host or chef. It implies you really enjoyed the food and you're satisfied.
Huh. That's definitely a different cultural lens.
Yeah.
What about those lazy Susans you often see at Chinese restaurants? Any rules for using those?
Oh, yes. Lazy Susan etiquette is important for communal dining. The key is consideration.
Eating.
Don't spin it too fast. Don't hog it. Wait your turn before spinning it towards you. And definitely avoid reaching across other people or the table to grab something. Take things when they're in front of you.
So it's all about smooth sharing.
Exactly. The lazy Susan itself kind of embodies that communal meal aspect.
Makes sense. What about chopstick rules in China? Similar to Japan.
There are similarities in some specific things too, like Japan, absolutely never stick your chopsticks upright in the rice bowl. Same funeral association.
Okay, got that one down. Anything else?
Yeah, avoid pointing at people with your chopsticks. That's considered rude. Also, don't use them to stab your food like a fork, and try not to cross them when you lay them down.
Why not cross them?
It can be seen as culturally insensitive or just bad form. Best to keep them parallel.
Right. So similar themes of respect and avoiding negative symbols. Now, finishing your plate. Clean plate or leave a little. What's the norm in China?
This one's interesting. In China, it's often customary to leave a small amount of food on your plate at the end of the meal.
Leave food. Why?
It signals to your host that they provided more than enough food, that you're full and satisfied. Finishing every single grain might imply they didn't serve enough.
Wow, that's the opposite of what many Westerners are taught. Yeah. Fascinating. Okay, let's journey south now to India. What are the foundational dining customs there?
Well, perhaps the most fundamental role in much of India is using only your right hand for eating.
Only the right hand.
Yes. The left hand is traditionally reserved for personal hygiene tasks, so it's considered unclean for handling food. This is a really deeply ingrained cultural practice.
Crucial to know. What about how meals are served? Is communal eating common?
Very much so. Shared meals are a huge part of Indian culture. In many regions, families or groups eat together, sometimes even sharing from a common plate or a large banana leaf or platter called a thali.
Fosters community, I imagine.
Absolutely. It really emphasizes togetherness and sharing.
And finishing your food, is it important like in some other places?
Yes, generally leaving food on your plate is seen as disrespectful in India. Food is highly valued, considered sacred by many, so wasting it is frowned upon. It's best to take only what you know you can finish.
Respect for sustenance. Makes sense. And eating with hands is common, right? Is there more to it than just tradition?
There really is. For many Indians, eating with your hands isn't just tradition. It's seen as a more, well, sensory and even spiritual way to connect with the food.
How so?
The belief is that it engages all 5 senses: touch, smell, sight, taste, even the subtle sound. You feel the texture, the temperature. It enhances the whole experience and appreciation.
That's a beautiful way to think about it. Okay, next up. Thailand. Famous for its food. What should we know about dining etiquette there?
Right, Thailand. First thing, utensils. It's mainly fork and spoon, but how you use them is key.
Okay.
The fork, usually held in the left hand, is primarily used to push food onto the spoon, which is in your right hand.
A spoon goes into your mouth.
Exactly. You eat off the spoon. Eating directly from the fork is generally considered, well, not quite right. Think of the fork as a helper utensil.
Good distinction. What about chopsticks in Thailand? I feel like people might assume they're common.
That's a common misconception. Chopsticks aren't the standard for most Thai meals, especially rice-based ones.
Oh, when are they used?
They're mainly used for noodle dishes, particularly those with Chinese origins or influence, or sometimes in Chinese Thai restaurants. But for your typical Thai curry with rice, fork and spoon.
Very helpful clarification. And rice. This is especially important in Thai culture, too.
Absolutely. Rice is the staple, the heart of the meal, and it holds a deep cultural significance, almost sacredness.
So leaving rice uneaten.
Generally seen as disrespectful, yes. Similar to India, it implies wastefulness. Best practice is to take only the amount of rice you think you'll eat.
Respect for the staple. Got it. Okay, final stop on our tour. The Philippines.
Ah, the Philippines, known for incredible hospitality and very festive food gatherings.
How does that spirit show up in their dining customs?
Well, one really standout tradition is Kamayan-style eating.
Kamayan.
It literally means with hands. It's very common, especially during big feasts, like a boodle fight.
So doodle fight, what's that?
It's amazing. A huge spread of food rice, grilled meats, seafood, vegetables is laid out on banana leaves down a long table, and everyone just gathers around and eats together with their hands.
Wow, no plates.
Nope. It's incredibly communal, very informal, joyful. It really embodies that spirit of togetherness and sharing.
That sounds like a fantastic experience. Does that sharing culture extend beyond Kamayan?
Definitely. Offering food to others at the table, sharing dishes, encouraging people to eat more. It's all very typical in Filipino culture. It's a sign of warmth, generosity, community, part of their natural hospitality.
That's lovely. What about things like burping? We heard China might be okay with it. Philippines.
It's kind of neutral in the Philippines. Unlike China, where it can be a compliment, or other places where it's definitely rude, a small burp after eating isn't really seen as particularly good or bad.
Maybe overlooked?
Possibly. However, being excessively loud while eating, chewing loudly, smacking lips that is generally considered impolite. So moderation is key.
Good to know. Now, just to circle back on something we touched on a few times.
Let me guess. The toxics in the rice.
Exactly. It seems like such a universal rule across several of these cultures.
It really is. We mentioned it for Japan and China, but it holds true in South Korea and Vietnam as well. Sticking your chopsticks upright in your rice bowl is a major, major faux pas.
And the reason, again, is that strong visual link.
To funeral rituals, the incense sticks offered to the deceased. It's a powerful negative image to bring to the dining table, which should be about life and sharing. Deeply disrespectful.
Right. It connects a meal, a time of connection and sustenance, with loss and mourning. So the absolute safest bet when using chopsticks in many Asian cultures.
Just lay them down horizontally when you're not actively eating.
Across the bowl or on a rest if there is one.
Precisely. That simple action shows you're aware, you're respectful of these really important cultural norms.
Well, this deep dive has certainly shown just how much cultural richness is packed into the simple act of eating. It's way more than just rules, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Understanding these customs really opens a window into the values, the history, the traditions of different cultures.
And it's about showing respect.
Exactly. Showing you've taken the time to learn and appreciate their way of doing things. That fosters much more meaningful connections when you travel or interact cross-culturally.
So maybe as you sit down for your next meal, whether it's at home or somewhere completely different, perhaps you'll think a bit more about those unspoken rules shaping the experience. What everyday rituals around food exist in your own culture that might seem unusual or carry deep significance to someone else.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.